The last time that I made a video was talking about Tony and how the truck was a sort of a magnet for an event that happened in Utah. It's a really important event. There's lots of issues with crimes against truckers. Before I start telling the next section, though, about what happened with me and Tony, I want to mention a couple of current events that have gone on. One is a really big case, 1.5 million judgment against CRST. This was an individual who was able to get her own lawyer. It is really wonderful. I put it on the Real Women Truckers fan page. She actually posted on there. The Cedar Rapids Gazette picked up the story. I'm really glad about that, because a lot of times these stories get buried by the trucking companies once they lose them or settle them. And that acts as a way to be a deterrent to other drivers so that they won't start getting any big ideas about doing the same thing. And that's sort of what my project is about, is giving people the confidence to go, no, there's other people out there fighting the battle. It's just you don't know about them, and they make sure that you don't know about them. They keep you separated so that you can't get any knowledge. So you know that theory that we heard over on the Real Women in Trucking website from Ellen Voy that said, they all just wanted to be in a lawsuit, or the video she made on that documentary, The Workplace Bullying, where she said, oh, they all just wanted to be in a lawsuit. Well, that kind of blows that theory all to hell, doesn't it? The appeal is still going on, and I think that this case is going to impact that, because there's knowledge to be gained now. And one thing that's really important about this $1.5 million judgment I want people to understand is that, as Karen Shank wrote on the fan page, it sends a very loud and clear message, because not only was CRST International and Expedited named, but the trainer was named. And I want to point out what the relevance is of that. If you're a bartender, you know that there were some laws that were handed down a while back that made you liable as a server to serve somebody who was already drunk. If they got into a car and drove and got in a drunk driving accident, you're the one that's going to get in trouble. So it really changed food servers and bartending and that sort of industry. And this sort of a judgment makes a loud and clear message sort of in the same vein. It sends a loud and clear message that if your trainers are doing things like this, the trainer is going to be held liable personally, and the carrier. Those are things to think about. $1.5 million for one woman. The CRST case, the appeal, it's a drop in the bucket. So yeah, they're going to probably try to appeal it. That's a lot of money. But it was a jury trial. So the jury was like, no, you don't have a leg to stand on. The other thing I want to mention is that Jason's Law got reintroduced with Paul Tonko. There's video. It's great because there's Lisa Mullings, the CEO of NATSO, standing next to Hope Rivenberg. We've been jumping up and down, screaming and yelling and waving our hands up to get this woman to notice. And I know they've been working really hard in Washington, D.C. to get NATSO to be on board with Jason's Law. And Hope has been going to Washington, D.C. She's been just really persistently pushing this. The bill has a new bill number, It's also got a new funding source. This is really great. This is a nonpartisan bill. There's really no reason, they're already doing the infrastructure. They're already, so there's no reason for not broad, nonpartisan. I mean, could we get anything nonpartisan going on in this country? This bill is a uniter. I don't know what else you could even think of in our legislative process that would not be a uniter of all of the division we have in this country besides Jason's Law. I mean, what are we talking about? Like a drop in the bucket for some truck parking? Come on, So let me go on with this thing with Tony. I've said this several times. Tony reminded me of my brother. He resembles my brother. His manner, I mean, my brother's a little bit more sophisticated, I'll just say that. Because he'll probably be mad if he watches this. Anyway, so, it's kind of like, maybe the odd couple a little bit, because the odd couple, but not the odd couple, because he's like my brother, but me and my brother are like the odd couple a little bit, He's very Neanderthal, and I'm a little, whatever. These are things to consider when you're teaming with a guy. Some of the other kind of funny things was, well, I said before he was kind of a skirt chaser, and he was. Every time we stopped, he was like, "Oh, look at that girl! I think she likes me. I think she likes me. What do you think?" And I'd be like, "Well, I wouldn't do her, but I'm not gay, but I like whatever, go do your thing." And I remember this one time he was telling me that, he had this kind of, he thought he was really I thought was funny because I found him really offensive. And he was telling me, yeah, when a girl bends over, that means she wants you. I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I ever heard of. But at the same time, I had heard that before from my brother, and we were in a restaurant, and I was just like, you know what, maybe it's just me, okay? Because my little boy came to me one day, and he said, Uncle Trent said that, because your friend was bending over in the front room and he could see her, that meant that she wanted him. And I was like, what a moron. Please don't grow up and believe that. So here I'm sitting here with Tony listening to this thing again, and I'm like, really? So I called the waitress over. I said, let's get this out in the open, When women bend over, is that a sign to men? She's like, women don't give signs. And we both looked at him, and he was very upset. But it just goes to show men and women operate on totally two different levels sometimes. I mean, maybe not all men, but there are some men that have this really Neanderthal way of thinking, and I've dated a couple of them. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest, and I have some in my family. So we went to the shipper, and I had to open up the doors, and I had my boots, but they weren't tied up. And it was funny because I said, hey, I gotta bend over and lace up my boots, so watch me from behind so nobody mounts me. He didn't think that was funny. Anyway, he didn't like that, I kind of gave him some crap about his, what he believed about women. So, it started to get to him. I'll be perfectly honest, my shifting was crap. I think that he thought that he liked that I was good at map reading. He liked that I was a good driver. We did work really well as a team as far as when it came time to backing up the other one, getting out and helping the other one. Really, really good like that. I think that at the end of the day, it really rubbed him the wrong way that I never was like, I need your help, please come help me, I can't do it. I was never like that. And I think that he always expected that was going to occur at some point, and it didn't. And so it started to be more competitive, and he would be like, I did this today, or and I was like, okay, I don't care, But I've heard this happen with men before on other, like sometimes it's a couple that starts out driving together, and then the sort of the dynamic of their relationship changes as she starts to get more confidence to drive the truck. And then, maybe because the other person's supposed to be in the sleeper, so it's not like you're both, like when you're on a family trip and the other one's going reading the map, or you know what I mean. You're not supposed to be in the jump seat. So when you're in the front, you're on your own. And when you're calling the person out of the sleeper, you're breaking their hours of service to call them from behind the curtain. So you have to rely on yourself. You're supposed to rely on yourself. And when you do that, you get more confidence. So I was building my confidence. I know I'm a good driver. I know I'm a conscientious person. And so, but I think that he thought that I would be like, I need you, here, you do this and I'll do the laundry. And that never happened. I was like, I don't need to eat with somebody every meal. I don't need to. So there were some other little things that were, like, I take longer in the shower, okay? I'm living in a truck with a strange man. I'm never away from him for 2 seconds. So when we have time for a shower, I'm going to go in there like my dad used to go in the bathroom and take my sweet ass time. I'm going to stay in there as long as I can. And I did. I, read the paper and, play around with my makeup, set up my shampoos and stuff. And he'd be banging at the door. Come on, come, in the friggin' hallway, Get away from the door. This is my shower time. We're not late for anything. Go do something with yourself. And, and then, going around he'd go around in the truck stop and tell people I was his wife, and, like I was some sort of friggin', like something to be displayed. It pissed me off. I don't like that. So, it's a little weird when you get to the truck stops with a guy that you're not in a relationship with, when you have to team with one, because they always want to, like, act like they're your boyfriend or something. I hate that. I don't like it. You know what I mean? Get away from me. I'm not with you. I'm not your property. Don't come over here and piss on my leg like I'm some friggin' fire hydrant. He had a lot of superstitions. Everything was like, oh, you can't put that there. Oh, you can't put this there. And he was Cuban, so Hispanic people, if you put your purse on the floor, it's bad luck. If you put your logbook on the floor, it's bad luck. Those are things to consider when you're going to be living with somebody on a truck. Oh, you can't put your purse there. That means we're not going to have any more money. We're going to lose all our money. Those little living things, that happens with anybody. I'm Hispanic, but I'm not Cuban, and I wasn't raised with a whole bunch of, like, superstitions. We had some good times. We had a couple incidents that we worked it out together. He's not the kind of person that would, like, jump to the occasion and take care of business. He's, like I said before, oh me, oh my, kind of thing. He started getting this bravado thing with the weather. And, I've seen what snow looks like. I lived places where it snowed. I didn't grow up places where it snowed, so it is a real different situation. You're talking about people that grew up in South Florida, or it doesn't snow there and it doesn't ice. A lot of the people, they're from Haiti or from Cuba or the Dominican Republic. They live on an island. They go around in a circle on a moped. Most of them never even owned a car. Then they're on the road driving an 18-wheeler. Okay, I lived in Key West. All right, I know what island life is about. I lived in Hawaii. I know what island life is about. It's a totally different mindset when it comes to driving. All right, so having somebody wanting to negotiate the weather situations with me, that wasn't sitting well with me. So we had 3 incidences where we had some ice on the road. The first time he wanted to pull this, well, I guess we'll just get some more Gatorade then. And I said, no, we need to shut down. Luckily, that night, our Qualcomm mandatory shut us down in our terminal. And he saw think we were there for 2 days. It was a very thick sheet of ice. You know, and I didn't go, I told you so, I didn't do that. I mean, he could see for himself. It was a good thing we didn't leave and go to El Paso that night. There were school buses falling out in the ditch. There were, we sat and watched on, we had a big screen TV in our terminal. And I want to say this on this video. This would be a really great training tool for any carriers. Get that video footage that they have every winter, especially in Dallas, because they have these very high overpasses. And we have this big screen TV and this big huge leather couch, and everybody goes in there. It's like a big camp out. And we're trapped there, you know, so we're watching these people who went out in the ice, and they are sliding like a slip and slide down the overpass. Sometimes in an 18-wheeler, like they were able to make it to the top. And then what are you supposed to do? It's like total sheet of ice, and they're like, jackknife, you know, and everybody's like, ah! You cannot understand what ice does until you see it, okay? And this is my rule with ice. I go by the 3-car rule. As soon as I see 3 cars go flying off the road, I'm done. I'm parking it. That's it. And we have a no ice policy at Covenant Transport. And an 18-wheeler, you know, they stay on the road a little bit longer than a regular car would. But ice is nothing to mess around with.